Hello and welcome to Taste Porto Bites and Insights podcast. And here today with me, we have a very special guest, Ricardo. Right?
Beautiful name.
Beautiful name.
Beautiful
I know
name.
someone who has the same exact name. It's
Yeah.
just me. Everybody is called Ricardo around here. And Ricardo, how do you feel?
Really well, thank you.
Yes?
Yeah, nervous, but it's fine.
Nervous? Why?
Yeah, because I'm not used to have a camera in front of me
And now
and
you have
speaking.
three.
Yeah,
It's a little bit too much.
yeah, it's fine.
But you'll be okay.
Yeah.
You're dealing with fire every day. I don't see any bruises or...
No,
No,
Let's
oh,
see my
just the
arms.
scars. Okay. So that's the image of a guy who spends most of his time in the kitchen playing with fire, right?
yeah, basically.
Very well. And how has it been coming back to Portugal?
How
6 years now, right?
6 years now. Almost, yeah, 6 years and a couple of months.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's cool to be back to my country, adapting the first years, but now it's chilling, basically just working.
And can I ask you one thing?
Yeah.
What is the menu for tonight?
The menu for tonight, tonight is Wednesday, we open just the gastro,
Uh-huh.
and the gastro is just working with the tasting menu, 10 courses tasting menu, so let's see.
And you have everything prepared already?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just going to the kitchen and lighting up the fire, and
Yeah.
that will be it.
Yeah.
Very well. And for me to understand, how does one get interested in cooking?
Because honestly, I didn't know how to do anything more, it's like I was lost in my life in that time.
Mm-hmm.
As a young kid, and
How young?
I was like 18 years old.
Oh, that's young.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was 20 years ago, basically. And
It's a very subtle way of saying your age. Very well.
yeah, basically,
Congratulations.
I'm all the whites already. So, but mm, well, I was not like thinking to go to uni and study. I'm more for working with my hands and basically do whatever I need to do, and that's why I went to the culinary school in Lisbon,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I'm a cook now.
You were telling me that you were born in Lisbon,
Yeah,
but that was just a legality because you were...
basically because I born in Lisbon and I was raised there basically, but in the same time I was raised in Leiria in a small town called Praia do Pedrógão.
You have to take something out of the...
Yeah, I hate this road. It's like 30 minutes. Beep, 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 beep.
But you were raised there in Lydia?
Yeah, in Leiria, in Praia do Pedrógão, a small beach, basically, fisherman beach. And that's interesting because beach and beach. Sorry, but when I arrived in Australia, my first job there was in a really good restaurant called Key Restaurant,
Mhm.
from one of most important Aussie chefs, Peter Gilmore. And that time was in number 21 of the San Pellegrino list, world's 50 best restaurants in the world. My English was terrible, still terrible, but in that time, terrible,
I think that we were talking before about Jorge Jesus, which is like
Yeah.
this big coach, but also we have Mourinho, and he has this
A special
very
one.
Portuguese way of speaking the English.
I
It
think-
doesn't matter.
Portuguese people have a really good way to speak English, basically. But in that time, I didn't know the difference. I know the difference, but the difference between beach and bitch.
One is the dog. The
Yeah,
other is where
basically,
you walk the dog.
My chef asked me, "Where are you from?" I'm from Pedrógão. It's a place with a good bitch. And he was looking to me like, "Bitch, really?" Yeah, I was raised to go to the beach every day. This Portuguese people go.
This is a great way to start a podcast
Yeah.
about the city of Porto and the pleasures of eating, right? No, how shall I say this? No pun intended.
No,
But back in Australia, you were there for
for
about
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah,
That was after you've already did a lot of great things in culinary, shall we say, history, both in Portugal and also in the Basque Country, right?
Basque Country, a little bit in Paris as well. So yeah,
You've been all over already cooking, like the first
yeah, yeah,
main places in the world,
yeah, yeah. I did.
basically.
Well, that's right.
So I know that a lot of people, and this is kind of a common thing for people to say, that you win someone's heart first through the stomach,
Yeah,
right? So you have great
first from the
attributes.
eyes and after from the stomach.
Oh,
Yeah.
first the eyes.
Yeah, because when you put a plate in front of someone, is looking before is hitting, you know. So
Uh-huh.
if he likes the plating, it's
If it's
fifty
beautiful,
percent for a good dish, you know.
but not just talking about the food, but people
Yeah.
even. You win someone's heart through the stomach, right?
Yes.
You would agree?
Yeah.
Did you had any of those experiences that led to a relationship by any chance?
What kind of relationship?
The one you have now, for instance, with Patricia.
Not for
That's
cooking.
no.
No. Well, you know, uh, I'm
Patricia, just to give a little bit of context, is the person that's on the side of you for all this
yeah,
last few years in Portugal,
yeah,
and not only, right?
yeah.
She's been with
So
you for a
we
long
met
time.
in Australia in Sydney. So it's weird. You met someone from Lisbon as well in Sydney.
It's the Portuguese. You kick a
10 years
rock, one comes
already
out. Yeah.
with her, and she's my support basically.
Yeah. You need that,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Of course.
Every man needs a support
Mm-hmm.
basically, and a woman as well.
Well,
I cook, I clean in the home, I do the laundry,
everything's well divided
I
that
play with
way.
the cat.
You have one cat or
Yeah,
more
I have
cats?
one.
One. Okay.
It's too much already.
Yeah. I imagine he also scratches everything and destroys everything around the
You
house.
wake up at 3 a.m., 3:50 a.m., 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m. It's like a baby, you know.
But conquering someone through the kitchen and through what you do with the food and through the plating, as you say, it's not something easy to be done on a sensible way. Seasonality is something that concerns you. To have zero waste is something that concerns you, or you feel it's almost general. Everybody is concerned with that nowadays.
I
Cooking.
believe, well, 20 years ago when I started in this industry was different. Now everyone is more focused on sustainability
Hmm.
and all that kind. Yeah, of course, I'm focused as well. Imagine today today came a fish with 20 kilos from Azores Island. So I'm going to use that fish in 2 restaurants. That's sustainably for me.
All the parts of the
All the
fish,
parts.
everything.
With the head, I can do a sauce. With the fish bones, I do a stock. With the flesh, I do the main dishes. Yeah, everything we use it. Even the prawns, the shells, the heads. We do sauces. We do
Is it
broth.
easy after such a huge experience and a long time working in Australia, having access to such different products and ingredients, to come here and adapt and adjust to the reality of Portugal?
It's not easy. It's not easy because in Sydney, in Australia, you have like everything basically. It's a world there. You have Asian products, Middle Eastern products, us African products, everything. European. Portugal, it's difficult. If you want to think about out of the box and do something completely different, you need to find a good supplier, and that supplier needs to ask someone overseas if he can get that kind of product. And that's how we work if when we want to do something completely different.
Hmm.
Yeah, basically every week.
And would you say that through your years in Australia, you had ingredients that arrived there from Portugal that you felt like surprised at minimum?
Yeah, you can find wine basically, gazelle. No,
Gazella is one of the green wines or so-called green wines
yeah,
that people
but
talk
you
about in
can find
Portugal, not a very
a
good
lot
way.
of a lot of products
Uh-huh.
already. It's globalization
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
You can find cheese, meats. You can find presunto, chouriço.
Yeah.
everything basically.
All the processed
Yeah,
smoked
and you
meats
have
from
like
your.
the small stores in the Portuguese community. In
Uh-huh.
that case, was Petersham, and you go to that small store, and it's like going to a store here in Portugal. You find everything basically.
Is there any item that you discovered in Australia that since you're here, you never found it again?
Yeah,
A
a
lot.
lot, a
Yeah.
lot. Because in Australia they have indigenous um, ingredients really strong, and like the Aboriginal philosophy, the Aboriginal culture, the Aboriginal products you can't find anywhere else in the world.
So you would admit that some cases is that you cannot replicate something you did before,
I
right?
don't want
In
to
cuisine.
replicate nothing. We want. I don't like to speak I speak we because we are a team, and we do whatever we do, not just one person but 30 people basically. And we try to make every day something new, something different, and not like a recreation of something we did before in
Hmm.
the other restaurants or in the other countries, whatever. That's
Always searching for something new.
always searching. Yeah,
In that search for something new, is there anything that was left behind that you keep just for yourself?
yeah, some.
No. You
Yeah,
have any go-to recipe meal that you do just out of comfort and feeling home, feeling based?
yeah, yeah.
Do you want to say which one is it?
That's a secret.
Oh, you're not going to share.
No,
Okay. Okay. And
but you have some ingredients than I use, and people work with me. They know, of course, but they are really specific. I love Middle Eastern food,
mhm.
and some ingredients are the key ingredients for some recipes. Yeah,
We were talking in the beginning about Portuguese and this fact that Portuguese people, they seem to have a natural ease with languages, with meeting with other people and trying to find
yeah,
common ground, common base. In all your journeys and your culinary experience, you still feel this Portuguese presence in the world of the 15th, 16th century expansion of Portuguese mercantilism? Or
yeah. Imagine you. I had this conversation before, yes, with some Australians. You know, we went to Australia almost 200 years before Captain Cook went there.
Mhm.
Um,
Captain Cook.
Captain Cook. The Dutch went 150 years before Captain Cook. That's why Tasmania, the South
Hmm.
Island from Australia, have that name because of the captain, the Dutch captain, Tasman. And when you are like trying to express that, ah no, Captain Cook was the first. No, was not the first. We were in our way to Japan when we stopped in Australia for the first time.
Hmm.
All that Pacific Islands, we went there already.
And that is still visible in certain aspects of the food, of the flavors, the aroma of food.
No, that's that. No, in Australia, but in Japan, in Japanese culture, yeah, a lot. Imagine the tempura. It's the fry veggie
Uh huh.
are our peixinhos da horta.
Yeah. Yeah.
The most important or famous Japanese cake, Castella cake.
Hmm.
It's our pão de ló.
Yeah.
That small things that we put in
The
Japanese culture,
imprint
and
of
yeah, it's still
Portuguese.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it easy to adapting and adjusting, of course, because it's such a huge world and different world? Is it easy for you to recognize some of the ingredients that the Portuguese carried from one place to the other?
Well, yeah, you can find bacalhau basically in Australia,
Everywhere.
basically. But yeah, if you are speaking about the Portuguese gastronomy, we had a big turnover on the 20th century because we stopped to use some ingredients to start to use another ingredients. And you have like a lot of very old school books,
Hmm.
culinary books, speaking about that kind of ingredients. Then we don't use anymore. We used to use a lot of parsnip in our recipes. Parsnip is like a we call pastinaca.
It's like a root. It's like a
It's a
carrot.
root.
Yeah.
We used to cook a lot with the roots, you know, with the wild leaves as well, and no one is doing that anymore. You know, the if you're going to the bush, or if you're going to a florist, if you're going to somewhere else and you find edible leaf, that edible leaf was a main part of our gastronomic culture 200 years ago.
hmm
You know,
And
but now no one's use it.
just because you cook in a very specific way, right?
Yeah,
You cook in a very ancestral way, even.
yeah.
Your
That
new restaurant even doesn't have any possibility of electronic appliances in the counters, etc. It's like fire, just fire.
yeah.
Domesticating such a wild
Both,
thing. Yeah. Both
both,
both restaurants.
both versions. One, the Elemento, it's like the wild, wild west, basically. If you want to speak about that.
It's the place of all the bruises and all the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gastro, it's soft,
hmm
basically, comparing to Elemento,
Okay.
but still with the fire.
Uh huh.
But in the Elemento, when we opened Element 5 years and a half ago, we put like a big grill there, and I was thinking put a really massive grill there inside of a restaurant, you know, and cooking just with fire. We did that. And in that time when we were building Elemento, and I was trying to explain the concept to the engineers, to the architects, to everyone. Everyone was asking, hey, but you are doing like chicken or hamburgers or
Is
sausage,
it puri
like a
puri
grill, you
chicken you're
know?
gonna cook here all
Yeah.
the time? Is that it?
No, well, but that was really difficult, you know,
To
to
transmit that
transmit
idea.
my idea to the people, you know, because you are trying to do like a modern cuisine with the fire, with the
hmm
grill,
hmm
because grill in the beginning everyone was thinking about chicken, steakhouse, and hamburgers or something like that, you know, and you are not doing that. We are doing like majority of the products in our a la carte or in a tasting menu is fish, seafood, shellfish, and and veggies. We have like two proteins of meat.
Okay, so it's more
Majority fish
the
and
ocean.
yeah,
And you come from a place where you were raised nearby the ocean, an area where the wildfires back in the
2017
2017 and
October.
onwards damaged an immense area of the country. And I just really want to understand fire is a very ancient attribute. It's something that brings us comfort, it's something that brings us relief and a lot of
Yeah,
times safety. How is it for you to domesticate such a wild thing? And you possibly have very personal memories and references to the destruction that fire provokes, but also it is quite life-giving, even though it is
you know,
life-changing.
we are in 21st century. Everyone have like the new generation of iPhone or something like that, the new computer, the new machinery, you know, the new, the new technology. It's the same in the kitchen, you know. Everyone wants to have like the new machine there to cook, the new stove to cook, the new oven, the new, basically.
Mhm.
Don't want that. That's why we are cooking with just with fire because it's difficult. I say to my chefs, imagine the protein section at Elemento is the most difficult section in Porto.
Yeah, because you're
I
working with
would like
something
to see
unpredictable.
a lot of chefs there.
Huh.
I would like to see.
That's also the challenge, right?
Yeah, because you know, each 10 seconds the fire is different. If you put a different kind of woods, or that wood is small or big, that if that piece of wood have a lot of water inside or is completely dry, the flame is will be really different.
hmm
And that's the cool part of our job, just leading with the fire and trying to understand that animal, because it's an animal for me. It's a wild animal.
People usually say that practice leads to perfection, but working with fire, it's always a new day. It's always a
Yeah,
new challenge. How do you
because
tame that?
it's not like to switch on a stove with gas, or you just need a light and that's it, or like induction, just press and you put the power you want, and it's always like that. The fire, no.
Hmm.
You know, the fire, we just to have an idea. I I start the pit in our oven at 1 p.m. or midday to be perfect at 7 p.m. So you need a lot of hours for that oven to be perfect for
Hmm.
us. Yeah, and the ovens are really hot there. Yeah,
I imagine.
it's almost 800 degrees.
I'm very bad at Celsius, Fahrenheit, and temperature overall. I
Yeah,
always feel that it's warm when it's 25 degrees outside, but
imagine just a normal with your hand. Just a normal person can't put the hand just at the door. We put our hand inside of the
the oven.
oven to take the embers to cook
Hmm.
as well.
Do you have anything against Dom Dinis, the farmer king of Portugal who planted the pine tree orchard of Leiria? Or is that the reason why you're always putting wood into the oven and
No,
burning wood?
no. Don Denis was the visionary. You know, he had an idea much, much before this government start. To plant that.
The expansion of
Yeah,
Portuguese, yeah.
yeah.
Some
Because
people,
he looked for the ocean. He thought like this is the future.
yeah, people say that he planted a notion of boats
Yeah,
for the Portuguese
yeah,
expansion. And just making a question that will kind of encapsulate everything that we're talking about. We are very stubborn in Portugal, embracing change, but also we're quite fast, I would say, embracing it once it becomes the norm. Right. So we're very stubborn and no, I won't do that. That's not the way to do it. That no, 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 no. All of a sudden, everybody is doing it. Yeah, this is the best way to do it. Do you feel that something like what you're doing, going back to the roots, going back to something as ancient as starting a pit of wood burning at 1 in the afternoon to get an oven perfect for
yeah.
dinner service, is something that people have to go back if they want to be sustainable, if they want to tackle the challenges that new generations are dealing with?
In
So that,
my in my deep mind, I believe we change a little bit of the vision here in Portugal, because now a lot of kitchens they have like a grill, or they playing with the fire, you know. And I believe we change that, Elemento change that kind of vision, that not just technology, but the comfortable of cooking with the fire. And I believe we change some stuffs here.
yeah.
That's good.
And you believe that that interest that you decided to bring into the kitchen of the fire and making fire relevant again, does it have anything to do with the fact that the place where you were raised was totally destroyed by the lack of preparation of arranging territory, of having a nice or at least a conscious policy in Portugal to deal with the way we have our territories arranged? Is that a manifest
What
that
did
you?
happen was like a big push for me, and I see it as a tribute to what we're doing every day. Um, maybe, maybe, yeah.
I feel that go.
It's
Yeah.
the government tells you a limit day to clean your house, but when you going to his house, it's always messy. That's why. That's why we had a lot of fire bushes here.
Hmm.
It's not just someone put fire there. It's a snowball of acts, of situations.
How was it for you coming back to Portugal after so many years? What did you face coming back? What was the thing that most surprised you?
Well, was a big impact. I In 7 years I came here twice, basically.
because it's
Like,
that close, right? Coming
yeah,
from
it's
Australia to
Australia.
Portugal,
It's
it's like
near.
10
It's
minutes.
like
And
I can catch the bus here, and I'm in Sydney or I'm in Melbourne. But I saw a really different country with a massive tourism, probably uncontrolled.
like fires, you would say.
Yeah, yeah. But fires we had always here.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're speaking fires in Australia, it's basically normal there.
Fire has that thing. It's in a sense a destructive tool,
Yeah,
but it's
but
also
recreation.
yeah, it's like the phoenix. It's
Yeah.
always being born from the ashes, and it starts anew. Tourism, in a certain sense, does it represent the same opportunity for us to rethink the way we have cities organized?
Well, we had that opportunity with COVID, because with the COVID, just stop everything,
Mhm.
you know. And I believe we did the same mistakes again.
You think that COVID or the pandemic and the lockdowns that followed were a wall that not a lot of people managed to go across?
Yeah, it was, because imagine you have a bit like us. I can speak about our business. We open 1 year before, 1 year before, and one day the PM goes the president went to the television and tells you, well, from tomorrow you need to stay home. And you think, okay, 1 week, 2 weeks, no, 3 months, your business is shut down, €0 coming to your account. But at same time you need to pay everything. You need suppliers to pay, you need to pay rent, you need to pay your people, you need to pay everything. Well, it was hard, and I believe a lot of business didn't resist
Hmm.
because of that. We had some support from the government, but when someone tells you to shut down your business and gives you money with credits, it's
You
unfair.
have to pay the interest
Yeah, of
afterwards, right?
course, and they are crazy. You see,
Mhm.
they are really. It's mad. You know.
I love the way we very fast start talking about politics and we're like, "Arr." Do you feel that's one of the reasons why you felt in love with Porto the first time you lived here? People in Porto are a lot like that, where
Yeah,
nothing's ever good,
that's why I love
nothing's ever
Porto.
peaceful. Yeah.
That's why I love Porto, because they speak as they think, basically. Yeah,
There's no people usually say that you have a filter in your
yeah.
throat, so things that don't have to come out, they don't
I
come
don't
out.
have filters. That's
Here,
why I love this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Porto is a love at first sight, is a
it
place that
is.
you needed to come back in order to feel, okay, this is the place.
It is. It is.
Because you're coming from a
Not
very
just
different
Porto, but
area.
the north of Portugal. Basically, we have Douro Valley, we have Trás-os-Montes. So this place, yeah,
And also, you're close to one of the most fertile areas in the country, the northwest of Minho and
so,
the area of production of vinho verde, but also one of the areas with a lot of wood, right?
yeah, yeah.
So you you're really close to the raw material at first sight.
Basically, the woods here in Portugal, the trees. That's why we have a lot of fire bushes, because we have like a plague here of eucalyptus.
Yeah,
It's not native at all. It's
it's a
from
legacy.
it's from Australia as well,
Yeah.
and was planted the first ones, I believe, in the end of the 18th century,
Hmm.
because it's a fast wood to grow. It's cheap, grows really fast, and you just need to have water, basically.
It's to do also with
Yeah,
industrialization, the
paper
necessity of
industry, cheap wood,
cellulose,
all that kind.
and we're still feeling that. So,
Yeah,
in a certain sense, this preparation that people must have in order to organize the house, as you were saying, oh, the government gives us a schedule to clean up the field so that
yeah.
we don't have the wildfires, but whenever they are called into action, they always delay it. We are never able to delay it.
You
Do you?
can't.
We cannot.
Otherwise,
Fines
you have a
an
fine,
interest, but
basically.
having in consideration that a lot of the things we need to do to get things better need preparation. Is there anything that you feel has to be done in order to prepare for the next big wildfire of uncontrolled tourism, uncontrolled waste, the production of products in areas that don't give it the best of qualities? Is there anything you can imagine that should be done differently here now?
I believe a lot, but why am you know, I just vote
You're
and I hope.
Ricardo. Yeah, but you have ideas, and you come from the center west of the country. It's one of the most beautiful regions of the
It
country,
is, but
still largely untapped.
imagine about fire bushes. You have like a pinal or an area with native trees and plants there. They burn, and 1 year after that, you go there again and you just see eucalyptus everywhere.
No.
And eucalyptus will dry the land, will kill everything, and you just have one animal in the world eating the eucalyptus leaf. It's a koala.
And we didn't import those ones.
I
Yeah.
could bring koalas here. Imagine
I
how
think
cool it is.
I don't know where I read it, but I think that the three species, because I think we have about three different species of eucalyptus that were imported from Australia, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, none of them the koala likes. Koalas are picky eaters, I would say.
No, but they eat it.
Yes,
Yeah,
Aaron, any type of leaf,
I
you think?
believe so. I believe I could bring koalas, kangaroos, everything. Imagine you are driving in a highway and you see a kangaroo there,
Bouncing.
jumping. Yeah.
To be honest about the conversation, and to be honest also about what we are here doing specifically, the podcast here, it's a lot about giving people insights on what to do coming to Porto, what to expect when going to a restaurant. uh, how would you say that the customers you have at your restaurants feel about the way that fine dining is changing? um, a lot of the way that food looks, the way that the experience itself is changing. Is fine dining something that we need to debunk as a very complex and intricate way of cooking and preparing food, or is it really just something in your face? This is the best version of what you can have, respecting the product, the origin, the way of producing this, bringing it to the table. What do you feel about that?
Well, fine dining is changing. If you see fine dining 20 years ago, 50 years ago, you had a cloth on on the table. You have like a white cloth on the table with everything pretty silverware. Now it's changing because uh, we are not doing that anymore. Yes, still doing that in some restaurants, but we are trying to see what's a casual fine dining, not like that fine dining. Yeah, you still have. That's why you have like really cool and good restaurants doing that. But the question is, what's fine dining?
Hmm. But isn't it also to do
What
with
is fine dining? For you, fine dining one thing. For me, it's another thing. For him, another stuff.
but isn't it also to do with sustainability and the fact that there's a necessity of toning it down and going to the basics, because we went too far on technology, on methods of preparation? Prepping for a fine dining experience is something that takes a lot of resources, a lot of people, a lot of
Yeah, a lot
hours.
of time. Fine dining. Uh, we are not doing like the real fine dining. It's for kings or emperors or something like that. We're doing our way of fine dining,
Mhm.
young way, urban way of fine dining, basically. Um, but we want to bring always the best product you can find. Not put in the same dish foie gras, truffles, caviar, blah 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 on the same dish. No, forgetting that. We are trying to put Portuguese products there. The best Portuguese products there. Even not the best, but imagine just a regular fish like a mackerel, cavala. It's 10 years ago was the cheapest fish. Now it's really it's getting really
Yeah.
expensive. But playing with that. with different different flavors, with different techniques as well. Trying to bring techniques from other countries or ways of cooking from another countries and doing that. For me, that's my fine dining.
Do you have people, Portuguese people, that go to your restaurant and after eating something as common as mackerel, go like, "Oh, is this mackerel really?"
Yes, we have, but imagine, um, we had a dish before, like 2 years ago. Yeah, almost 2 years ago. Was a tamboril monkfish with grilled chicken broth. Portuguese chicken, grilled one, galinha com piripiri, basically,
Piri piri chicken.
very
Yeah.
very chicken. And we did like a mix of fish and the piri piri chicken broth on the dish. That's weird. The people think, really, using that? Yeah, but it was a really cool dish and a really good seller, and the people love it.
It's always about surprising
Yeah,
people, and
it's playing with different flavors, and one of the most famous dishes in Portugal is carne porco alentejana, and you are mixing
clams
clams
and
with the
pork.
pork and pickles.
Mm.
It's
Pork is like the essential item in
in
Portuguese
Portugal.
cuisine.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
a cheap meat. You can use 100% of the pork as well. You can do everything with him.
It's basically a recycling company that's an animal, right?
Yeah,
It feeds everything. It basically fertilizes the field, and everything that he gives, you can
yeah.
use it. But
I'm used to
isn't
to eat pork um since my 2 years old, because the father of my mom,
hmm
he had a big farm and in the south of Portugal, in Montijo,
hmm
Jardim, and he had like two big pavilions of porks,
yeah.
pecuária.
And you felt then like I think that the first time I went for a slaughter of the pig, I was probably like 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, I
It's an
saw that.
impressive show. It is.
It is.
It's going
Cutting
back.
is
It's going back to the most
and
primitive
that
of
what
existence.
that
Yeah.
thing was common in my family.
To me, what it brought was this intense respect
Yeah,
for the suffering, the necessity of wasting zero.
zero. Yeah.
And this is the going back to the origins. I feel that you try to bring into your cooking, into
I
your
think
kitchens,
chefs are doing that in this moment, you know, because you are looking back and, okay, this is a traditional dish. This is a traditional way how to do it. Let's do it, but in our way, or in our fine dining way.
hmm
And I believe that's the future, because other countries are doing that as well.
It's leading by example that you end up giving the best results,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I love that you, in the beginning of the episode, you started saying, "Well, I'm not much of a talker," and I'm like,
I'm
and this
trying.
is the
Trying
first
to do
time.
my best.
This is the first time we went both into silence. So I think it's what brings people together. A lot of the times, it's taking our memories from the past and our present experience and trying to, hey, this is how I live. This is how I feel things. Do you know of any dish, any that you have prepared that changed someone's life in particular, that that person shared with you? Oh no, I was like in Australia, you had a Portuguese going to your restaurant and you felt like, oh, I was homesick. I felt saudade. This brought me back home, brought me back to that
Yeah, I
memory in
remember.
specific.
It was in Australia and opened a lot of doors. When I was the head chef from Shangri-La Hotel, is basically the biggest hotel in Australia, and Shangri-La hotels are one of the most important brands in the world. They don't have a lot of hotels, but they have the top ones and the top locations. So that hotel in Sydney at 695 rooms was a tower with 38 floors, and the hotel had 38 floors, and I had 9 restaurants under me there in that time. 175 chefs.
Portuguese work a lot. It's
So
impressive.
one day, someone had had booked all the entire hotel. Chinese government. They went to Australia for a meeting with the Australian government and another countries in Asia. So I had the pleasure, because of my position in the hotel, to make the meal for the Chinese government, 20 Chinese governments there, with 150 bodyguards, basically. Yeah, in that massive hotel.
And how was it? Did you change any perception of
I did Portuguese
Portuguese?
food there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's my beach.
Yes, the
Imagine Xi
place where
Jinping,
you
this is my bitch.
that is a closer. That's an
Yeah,
impressive closer.
yeah. I did that, and for 1 week they stayed in the hotel.
Uh-huh.
So massive security
And you just with
plans there.
knives and
Yeah,
everything.
I was honestly, I was thinking CIA will speak with me to do something. Hey, we have a chapter on top. Sure. Joking, but yeah, that was a big turnover for me in that time.
And
I
what
was young. I was 29 years old in that time. I was the head chef of the hotel already. I started in that hotel with 26 as a chef de cuisine of the fine dining restaurants. We are speaking about 120 seats restaurants. We just tasting menu and an average check. I'm speaking about Australian dollars. Almost 300 per person, 200 something euros.
Mhm.
Yeah, was one of the top restaurants in Australia, called Altitude Restaurant. The best view you can imagine
Over the Opera House?
over all the bay and north of Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah, Opera House, Harbour Bridge, you know.
Perfect place for the New Year's Eve fireworks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right
And I
on.
met some Portuguese there.
And
They went specifically for that day there.
was there any dish that you prepared for them that they went like, oh, this is like going back home?
I did the base of Portuguese cuisine with some Australian touch as well, ingredients basically. But our base was Portuguese gastronomy, you know, olive oil, garlic, bay leaf, onion, that kind of things.
I I
Paprika.
I have to say that having this conversation with you, it doesn't cease to impress me the way that Portuguese go abroad
Yeah.
and keep coming back stronger.
Because, you know, Portuguese people are famous overseas for hardworking.
Hmm. We're like MacGyvers, right?
Yeah, basically. They
Give
can
us
do
two tweaks,
everything. Give me a pencil and a knife, I can do an airplane with that.
or a house.
Yeah.
What I need first, right?
But yeah, we are famous for that overseas.
It's also the fact that we have necessity and we have to meet up necessity with invention, right?
Yeah, of
That's why
course.
also we leave
Yeah.
and we always keep coming back.
Well, sometimes we are coming back.
Well, we
This
are
time.
always coming back. Let's hope
Older
for
or
that at
younger.
least. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one last thing I want to say to you. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
very much.
accepting this. I know that it's very hard for a chef to leave its kitchen and leave it unattended for a conversation. It was a pleasure to have you here. I don't want to let you go away without offering you something in return for this. It's symbolic, but it's a
Andorinha.
swallow. Uh, Swallows are famous
Thank you.
for going and coming back, always at the same place. It's also
It's hard, you know, because imagine in my case, I was in other part of the world 4 years by myself, you know, and happened a lot of things there. Imagine, I was homeless for 3 months, for 3 weeks. I didn't told my family that, but I
yeah.
was, because someone, you know, copied my credit card and stole all my money from there. And in Australia, basically in the Anglo-Saxon countries, you get your payments weekly or 2 weeks.
Mhm.
but you need to pay your bills, yeah, the rent, everything weekly. So I had zero in my bank account. So I lived in the restaurant where I was working in that time. I had
It's
24 years old.
it's always hard,
Yeah, it is.
right? But going out and having such a deep experience like you're describing, being homeless and then doing the turn and coming back and
Yeah,
having to start all over again because you had to start all over again
yeah, I
back in
did.
2018, right?
Yeah.
It was
So it
a
was a
restart.
and in that time was a good eyes open because
Hmm.
when you are young, you think, I get like 1,000 euros, but and I'm gonna expend 950 euros in just shit, basically. No, you start to think I need to save money for my future or something happened. Yeah, that's happened with me. And that's how we work in COVID time.
Hmm.
Because when we open Elemento, I had idea to save much I could for an emergency. You don't know when you have a business, you don't know what's going on. That was the salvation of our business because we were comfortable because we saved money for 1 year. And element was to open elementary gastro was a really specific situation because we we invest with our own money.
Hmm.
We didn't went for a bank or ask money for someone or add a partnership, nothing, just me and Patricia and our own money. So we open Elemento, we tried to save much we could, and pow, we had COVID. I was speaking before COVID, we were shut for 4 months. Yeah, 4 months, first time. And no one told us nothing, basically. And we had in that time 20 people working for us. It's and we didn't fire no one.
It's 20 lives you have in
Yeah,
your hand.
20 counting with me and
Hmm.
Patricia because we are people as well, and we have bills to pay as well. And we didn't fire anyone. Even we had 3 people. They start to work like the week before of the shutdown because we didn't know nothing, and we didn't fire that people or just like COVID. Well, sorry, but we need to end the contract. No, we didn't. Even the second wave, we did that. No, we keep everyone because we thought, okay, I have a team. I need to protect them, and I need to stay strong with them for when we open again. So when we open again, in the first after the first lockdown, was all that kind of bullshit. You can't if you live in Porto, you can go to Gaia because it's a different council. If you live in Gaia, you can go to Espinho because come on, COVID is in the border. Tell me, what's the big difference? Yeah, and that was the big challenge so far. And after the first lockdown, we start to think about gastro.
Hmm.
Yeah, we thought, okay, this is the first lockdown. We don't have more COVID. I believe was probably a normal life, and we start to plan gastro, and we start really, really slow to build the restaurant. That's why it took us almost 3 years to build that restaurant because we were doing slowly with our money.
It's noticeable that cooking and having the business that you
Cooking
have
is just
is your entire life. There's
yeah,
nothing else there, right? It's fishing at 4 in the morning, as you said previously, and the restaurant. It's that is it.
yeah, and
And the cat.
and, and my club, football club.
Uh, Porto?
No,
No. Sporting?
yeah,
Ah, because you're from the center west. Very well. So
yeah,
you're a happy guy this year.
yeah. First time. And next year I will be as well.
Let's
No,
see.
but I lost. I'm lost.
The whole idea that you were saying, what I was trying to say is that you have a huge
Yeah, because
responsibility on your
it's not
shoulder.
just cooking. It's not like putting a plate in front of the guest, and sometimes that's goes wrong with that. Because you do a lot effort to do something.
Mhm.
You have like 50 guests enjoying that dish, and one person is saying, "Ah, this is shit."
It's always that one person, right?
Yeah, it's always that one person,
But
and we start to think, "I need to do something
that
different."
is something out of character that you have because you are, as you were saying before, you don't want to replicate, you don't want to repeat. You have this natural act of no, I'm going to do it differently, I'm going to do it better, I'm going to do it again. It doesn't matter. I'm going to open a restaurant that's only going to cook with fire and I'm going to be burning my hands the rest of my entire life.
Yeah, but
That's your decision. That's
yeah,
your way of looking at things. Also because you believe due to your life experience that there's no going back, right?
yeah.
If you were living homeless in Australia, you weren't close enough to home to, oh, I'll just walk to my parents' house and go rest for a while.
Even I didn't in that time. I didn't have money to get a flight ticket to
Nothing.
come home
Yeah.
because
So
it was
isn't
really
it out
expensive.
of moments of actual despair, actual moments of destruction that the phoenix comes up again, that life arises again? Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah. Mm.
So I'm gonna hope that like a swallow, you'll always be coming back to Porto and to Portugal because I don't believe that you're still too young. You're 39, 38,
Some
something
like
like
that.
that. Yes.
Something like that. I
You
stopped
were
counting at
you
30.
were 18, 20 years ago, right? So
Yeah. I stopped counting
you'll be
already.
coming back because you're going to go away again because that's one of the things that the Portuguese people and people that emigrate do often.
Yeah, I had my time, 10
Hmm.
years total out of Portugal. I started really young. Well, first time I left home was really young. I had 16 years old. Um, was my dark side, my life. But no, we are not planning to leave.
Okay.
No, we are in Portugal. I miss my family a lot. Even they are 2 hours from here, and I just see my parents once a month or once in 2 months, basically, because we work 6 days a week,
Hmm.
and on Sundays it's like I can't move.
Yeah.
Stay home, Netflix. Oh, sorry for the publicity.
No, no. Oh, Netflix. If you want to, it is always a pleasure to meet someone that
Thank you
has
very much.
such a humble yet um conqueror, like attitude, and thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
coming
much.
here, and I hope you had a pleasure. Here goes a handshake. As for the rest of you, I hope to see you on the next episodes. Thank you so much for being here and see you later.